Looks like we're live again. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Manny Wolf Show. Today's guest is Doug Crowe, who has at least one superpower that I know of. I'm going to let him explain it a little more, but if I understand this correctly, you've got a way to help people have a bestseller before the book is written. Do I have a beat on that? Am I understanding that correctly?
That's the way it really works in the real world, not in the entrepreneur world, but in the real world. They know ahead of time. Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. So we're going to jump in with that then.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
But Doug, give me just 1 second. I've got to sort of do the sharing out and all that.
Yeah, please go ahead. Share away.
Yeah.
Should I make a goofy face or anything or just
absolutely, man.
Where's the thumbnail?
Yeah, right. Well, it's going to be right there. It's going to be this one.
That's right. Picking my nose.
Yeah. Like I didn't even pick my nose in that interview. How did it get that thumbnail?
Somebody sent me something on Instagram today. We're doing that. The lady staying there, but the guy put his hands behind her and started touching her face, putting her makeup on, and pick her nose. It's kind of good. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Let's start the old watch party. Well, no, we don't want that. Okay. All right. Good. One more last thing. Watch party is started. We're good to go, man.
All right.
Doug Crowe, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Well, it's good to have you here. I've been looking forward to this and curious.
Yeah.
So you say that in the real world, they set the book up before they write it.
They not just the book up. They know pretty much what's going to happen because traditional publishers are dying breed. Number one, they're
yes, absolutely.
They don't do anything. They don't market. They don't even have their own printing presses. They just put you in a bookstore, and who's going to bookstores, right?
Right.
But people still respect the New York Times bestseller and all that jazz. But that business is so tough to break into for a good reason. Is that they make more money. They only make money with phenomenal successful books. So they have to know ahead of time it's going to work. That's why they reject so many manuscripts. Anybody who's marginal is not going to get in that crowd. So I'm big on self-publishing for that reason.
Awesome. So the question I have, as somebody who at one point wrote his own book and was faced with the stark reality of I don't have a first idea what to do with this thing now that it's written, right? And I didn't even know at that point. This is how green I was.
Right.
I didn't even know anything about building an audience or anything. I thought it was like the movies, like the rom-coms from the 80s and 90s where the guy writes a book and he submits it to 150 publishers. And finally, after his spirit's been broken, one of them accepts. And that's what I thought it was like, right? So
we love those movies. Yeah.
We love those movies, man.
Yeah, Rudy and the Pursuit of Happiness. They're great stories.
Yeah, right. Right. So if you first of all, you sort of, I felt like you sort of, you made a little dig at New York Times bestsellers there. Just a little.
I can dig in anybody you like. I mean, I got my opinions on stuff, and
So
I will dig on traditional publishers and the public's perception that some kind of a higher value product.
Yeah, that's what I want to really learn about because I know a couple of people who can guarantee you an NYT bestseller, and it's $250,000.
Yeah. We're good friends with the same people. Yeah.
Yeah. So, who is that even a good fit for then? Who does that even make sense?
Well, that's a great fit for a person whose ego is as big as their wallet.
Okay. All right. So if you got a huge ego but a small wallet, maybe not the NYT.
Then you come to me where I can make you an Amazon bestseller for a week.
Right. Yeah. So, what's the point of writing a nonfiction book then?
Great question. The point is not to try to make money from the book, but make a brand and make money because of the book. And that's the biggest distinction I make with my clients is like, it's possible. I've had some clients that sell thousands, tens of thousands of books, but that's a fluke. And they've got a huge audience pre-built in order to do that. Yeah. For a brand new author with a limited audience, you can definitely make a lot of money from your book. Right. Or actually because of it, but not directly from it.
Right.
And so a nonfiction book is a great platform. Some people call it, a business card. I really think it's much more than that. But it's a great start to give yourself a foundation that you're not just another person with a product or a service to offer. You've actually had some intelligent thoughts in your brain, able to articulate it in printed format, and have somebody look at it and invest the time to read it, or buy it, read it, and digest it, and give you feedback, which is a key point. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to inspire the world." I'm like, yeah, how do you know if they do or not? Amazon's not giving you customer data,
right?
You better have something in the back end to, follow up with people.
So I like. There's a couple of things you said there. The one I'm the most curious about is this group of us that wants to inspire the world.
Right.
I sort of more and more, the more I'm in this space, the more I have like I don't want to ever give up the dream on that. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I feel like we all sort of sound like the plucky kid with Down syndrome.
Hello.
Right? Am I tracking this sort of reality and this mythos the right way?
I've been doing this for about 11 years.
Okay.
There's not a single story I haven't heard.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks their story is special, unique, could be a movie. Right. All these wonderful, flowery things. And I never dismiss them outright, because
of course
somebody's got to be the next Tuesdays with Maury. There's things out there that do inspire people and make a dent in the universe, right? That's our main thing.
Yeah.
And I don't deal with people. I mean, I've had some clients that have, I'm a financial analyst and I want to do. I'm like, oh my God, I can't help you. I need somebody that's going to actually be inspiring, but it can't be just inspiring. They have to have a business model behind it, and that's the formula you need. Because just to inspire somebody, I'm sorry, to be really blunt,
we need it.
Inspiration. There are better people to inspire your audience than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if I need self-help on an issue, why would I go to some life coach when I could go to my doctor, Tony Robbins? I mean, somebody who's got some credibility with experience, right?
Right.
So the answer I give my people, or the question I pose to them first is, why would anybody want to read your book?
Right.
Who are they? And what can you say that nobody else is saying? So if you can't answer those questions clearly, I can help you answer those questions. Yeah. And there's usually an answer for all three, but they get stuck. They go, oh, you're right.
Did they get stuck the most at the third question?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, the reality is you probably didn't come into the space with more than sort of like a fresh face and some dreams. Right. Like I think of like buses coming into LA full of, aspiring actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Right?
Good example.
Yeah. And everybody feels like they just identify just deep down inside that somehow they're the one.
Yeah.
Right. We have this heuristic. We have this cognitive bias.
Yes. And it serves us well in terms of hope and aspiration and stick-to-itiveness, perseverance. These are all good qualities. Yeah. But at the same time, I've got this article coming out. I'm really nervous to release it. All right. But I can tell you what the title is.
Okay.
It's 7 Lies Entrepreneurs Tell Themselves and Other Mental Masturbation Techniques.
That's a great title.
Because people are trying to be this. They're trying to be, I want to be the next Tony Robbins or something. I'm like, why don't I go to him? Yeah. What can you provide that he's not? And there's answers for this, right? There are good answers. Number one, nobody has your exact story.
Right.
So I might not relate to Tony, but I might relate to you. There may be, and the more you niche down, obviously it's better.
Yeah.
Most entrepreneurs know this now, but they still say their book is, I had one appointment later today, and who's your book for? Anyone that can read. I'm like, well, I'll just go buy a dictionary then. Sorry, pal. I'm not going to help you.
That's a tough one.
Your audience, have a significant story, and only target your story to people that will relate to that story.
Right.
He's got to have that relatability. We want to talk and learn from people that are like us.
So better than saying I want to be the next Tony Robbins, maybe it's I want to be the next Tony Robbins for plumbers who want to run a $1 to $3 million shop and are starting to feel arthritic in their hands.
Cha-ching.
Right? That's what we're talking about. That's the difference, right?
Yeah. And people aren't but they think I want to go out. I'm like, no, do not. You want to start with a niche. You want to start with very, very narrow. Yeah. And then, Brendan Burchard talked about adding silos. You can start here and then add this and add this. And you can go broader later. But to start off, no one's going to listen to you.
Yeah, that's
my good friend David Fry wrote a book on marketing years ago, and I have his cassette tapes. That's how old I am.
Yeah,
and he talked about marketing, and he's a brilliant marketer. And he had this neighbor who was a pool and spa distributor, and he was chatting across the fence, and the guy's like, "Wow, that's a really good idea about marketing my pool and spa business." And David said, "Yeah." He says, "You should help out more of my people in my industry." David's like, "All right." He took his entire course, and David, forgive me if I'm quoting you wrong, and added the word pool and spa manufacturer to his stuff, right?
Right.
Within 1 year, he's the keynote speaker at the pool and spa convention.
Right.
So,
and that's the whole concept behind niching.
Yeah. Riches and niches, yeah.
Riches and niches, bitches.
Yeah.
So, it's really good to deconstruct this because it's this huge, like, if I think of the online space and all the entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurs and all the people who are very well meaning, but we're just sort of in there, and we're like, it's like we're wandering through the midway, right?
Yeah.
And this idea of the book is one of the loudest carnival barkers. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's the loudest guy at the ring toss, step right up and win a prize for the little lady. And there's so little sort of deeper clarity and understanding to it. So how then do we take this book that's never going to sell more than a few thousand copies realistically? If that, my own book, international bestseller, went to international bestseller in 72 hours.
Yes.
Probably sold about 3,000 copies.
Congratulations. You're above average.
Yeah. And that's been over the course of 5 years, Doesn't matter.
The average book sells 250 copies. That's including J.K. Rowling, you, and me. Okay. So that's
Yes. And she's skewing it by
I know, right? Would be like 300 copies. I think I want to share something with you. I think it'll help elaborate on your question.
Yep.
Because you mentioned about pre-selling books, and we didn't really go deep into that. So I want to give the audience some really good nuggets on how to guarantee your book's success.
Yeah.
Before it's written. Is that okay?
This is where I wanted to go. Yeah.
All right. So let's hit it. So most people have this idea, and not all, but some have an idea of what they want to communicate. I've got this story or this idea.
Yeah.
And I nod my head and go, okay. Yeah. I said, how do you know? Well, I've just, I talked to my neighbor and my mom likes it. It's a really good idea. Like, all right. Well, in our process, what we do with our authors is I take them through, corporate one-on-one focus group stuff. We'll say, okay, let's do two things. Number one, give me your book's idea, concept, what category it might fall into. Let me get my research team to go to Amazon and spend a week analyzing every single 3-star review in your category. Now, we don't look at 5-star reviews. That's somebody's mom. We don't look at 1-star reviews. That's somebody's angry. Yeah. But a 3-star review is generally somebody who's got constructive criticism and probably has read the book. And we'll take a look at over 100 titles in that category and collate them and organize them and take a look at those 3-star reviews. When we find a common thread of a question that's not being answered or a style that's not being receptive, being well received, we'll say, wow, we've got something here that the audience is hungry for and not being present in the area.
Right.
So it's deep research that not a single author I've ever spoken to except one, the one who gave me this idea, has ever done. Okay. Thank you, Robert Corey. Give credit due. So we do that for about a week. The second thing we do, and this takes a little bit longer depending on your audience, but we set up a group, Facebook, LinkedIn, private, whatever it is. And we'll say, listen, here's my idea for a book. What do you think? We post questions. We float chapter titles. We put book covers out there. We'll get audience engagement on an ongoing basis. We'll add people to that group who the author and I do not know. No friend. I mean, some friends can join, sure. But
it's got to be mostly sort of fresh off the
opinion on people that are interested in this topic.
Yeah.
And we'll vet the idea. I did a book, 6 years ago. It was about international dating. And I'm not ashamed to admit that we set up some profiles that were market driven. All right.
We'll say market driven.
Market driven. I never lied to the people responding to the messages, but we had over 7,000 data points from people responding, looking for certain things in the international dating market.
Yeah.
After 7,000 conversations, do you think we had a good idea of what wasn't being addressed in that marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So we spent several months on this. So when the book came out, boom. And by the way, those 7,000 people, I think not less than 10%, probably about 600 or so went ahead and bought the book, because the persona on that dating site didn't try to have a date, but they said, listen, I'm working on a book, you know, pretty face. What do you think about this topic? So we did interviews right away on a chat on this topic. So doing a focus group, either in a group format on Facebook, individually, there's many ways to do it.
Yeah.
Survey Monkey, all that stuff, to find out if your idea is any good. Because what if it's not? You just saved yourself a bunch of time and money.
Right.
If it is good, great, you can go with it. But something else happens, which is pretty magical. If you get a group going and people start giving you ideas and true engagement, and like, you know, they're responding and asking questions and answering things, you'll pick up some of the content. Your little myopic life now is expanded by 50, 100 people.
Right.
And other stories in your topic can be peppered in your book. So it reads much better, or read more like Malcolm Gladwell versus your diary.
Right.
And the second thing that'll happen is you'll probably get some people who want to launch that book with you. Can you imagine having 20 new stories in your book, and the week before launch, you say, hey, Bob, I love your story you posted on Facebook. We put it in the book. Do you want to help with launch it out? You're on page 47. I am? Yeah. Bob's got 5,000 more people than you.
Right.
Boom. Your launch team just expanded by tenfold.
Yeah.
So validates content, gets you a better, richer book experience, and builds your launch team. It's a triple win. It really helps a lot.
That's fantastic. I like, man, more and more, for somebody who sucks at research, I am just learning to appreciate the power of research.
We have people for that. I don't do it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But it's clearly, when you see people hanging their shingle in whatever format they do it, right? Whether you write a book for it, a podcast for it, whatever, it's clearly the missing element.
Yeah, it is.
You know, most of the time.
I mean, big companies, when they create a product, they got to spend $500,000 million on a tool to build something.
Right.
So when they do the prototypes, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a focus group. So if you have to invest 2 months and a few $100 on vetting and validating your idea, it's a wonderful ROI. I mean, it's silly not to do it, but most authors, again, whether it's ego or fear or pride, whatever it is, they don't think about, what if my idea is no good?
I think it's just I think it's part cognitive bias. Yeah. And I think it's part just that sort of urgency to create and to express. You know what I mean? Of course, because you deal with authors every day.
I take ego, okay.
Yeah, right. But so it's not ego, maybe in the sense of I'm so cool, or maybe this is going to change the world.
I'm not putting judgment on the word ego.
Right. Yeah. But I know that, like, I can draw from my own experience, not so much with the book, but with new ideas that I've had that I wanted to create a program or a service around. Right. Yeah. And I just was like, I just got to build this thing. Right. Yeah. So I think that for a lot of the people I talk to that are at the entry level to maybe a little bit above entry level, and like, I got to write a book. Yeah. It feels almost like this childlike thing, you know, where your 10-year-old goes, I got to go outside and play. I got to go climb that hill. You know, don't talk to me about this other stuff. I got to get to the top of that hill, Dad. Yeah. So now you're talking about giving them a realistic kind of hey, whoa, take a breath. Let's do it this way so that we can really sort of stack the deck in our favor. What kind of results can we then create now? Because you've asked us to get out of childlike excitement, and now we got to get into research mode.
Yeah, boring. Left brain stuff. That's why I don't do
it. Right. Yeah. But what are so the average book probably makes a couple $100, right?
Yeah. Average sells 250 copies. It's a literal. You are a literal drop in the ocean. Yeah, there are several million books. There's like, I think the numbers are wacky, but like between 600,000 new titles to 1 million new titles a year, every year on top.
Every year,
You're not going to get noticed on Amazon unless you do something with your positioning, marketing, and a little bit of branding, but mainly positioning and marketing of that message, not just the book. Yeah.
So then, what are the results you can create that make it worth this extra scrutiny, this extra sort of left brain focus, this extra amount of work?
I'm working on, I'm an agency, right? We do 100% done for you for CEOs. It's a pretty high tech thing, but I've been encouraged to do the done with you course program. So I went ahead and interviewed a few of my clients this past week. I'll give you a couple of quick stories. Sarah Macon is a therapist in the Northeast. She started out at a clinic and wanted to open her own clinic up and was timid as a church mouse. We did her first book, did well with that. Second book, her confidence went up. She's opened up 2 offices. She's been on TV 20 times, on the cover of a magazine. She's like killing it in the PR world and not keep up. She's got a staff of like a dozen people or so. She's doing very, very well because she started with not just the book, but what the book would do for her.
Right.
Kalani Vale, a client of mine, had a second book. His first book is back here somewhere on my shelf. He told me he did an increase about $100,000 to $200,000 a year of increased income. My other client, Donald Burns, a restaurant coach, which I interviewed him just recently because I was worried about the restaurant industry in this pandemic thing. He's busy. I got on like 40 stages last year. His business increased like 60 to 70%.
Yeah.
So these are people who didn't just sit on their laurels of being the best seller, right? Because that's we do that part. That's kind of easy. What's super important is after you're a bestseller, what do you do with it? How do you leverage it, position it, and keeping it in the hearts and minds of your audience without you promoting yourself so much? Because if you talk about yourself so much, what are you? You sound like the president. I don't want to talk about yourself. You want to have other people talk about you. Yeah. So we're big on not just social proof, but PR, marketing, branding, influencers, getting that whole well-rounded multimedia platform to communicate your message and to focus on one thing, problem you can solve.
Yeah. So just keep sort of aiming for the corner pocket, right? Problem you can solve, problem you can solve, problem you can solve, problem you can solve. Oh, whoa. What? So there's obviously a criteria here to get past the red rope. Now we got to prove it too.
Okay. But case in point, I mean, we all started in business with no customers, right?
Yeah.
So my very first book was done on faith with a friend of mine. Well, I'll write your book, and that was on faith, and that's okay to start that way. But I didn't tell her I had done 229 number 1 bestsellers and helped a 140-person consulting company increase their revenues by 20%, which I can do that now, but I couldn't do it at the beginning. Yeah. So at the beginning, it's on faith. And once you've got some credibility and you've got people talking about you, that's your marketing right there. That's it.
Yeah. I feel like it might serve the whole community, the whole space that we're in, for people at the entry level. And I keep bringing that up because most of the people I see that want to write books, they may bring a wealth of experience from another area of life. That's fine. But moving into the entrepreneur, it's not even the true meaning of the word anymore, but that's a different conversation.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But moving into the sort of expert specialist entrepreneur space,
right.
I feel like we really need to understand that in a way, what we're doing here is we're creating a sort of persona, not in the marketing sense, but of ourselves from nothing.
Oh yeah. We can talk about this. I want to talk about I really do. I was on my whiteboard just a week ago, writing this out, going, what's going on right now? I saw somebody post on Facebook, Manny, this question, and I was like, threw up in my mouth a little bit. He said, other than marketing, what are you cutting back on during this crisis?
Oh, geez.
I'm like, oh, that's a real strong leader right there, right? I want to follow this person, right?
Yeah.
So when I was writing on whiteboard, and I got to put this in my own article, and maybe you can help me share it, but I want to say there's this, you take a look at the pandemic curve, right? There's a spike, or we call it flattening the curve, right? But there's a spike in people's uncertainty. I'm never going to dismiss a person who has a restaurant and is closing their doors right now, or a server who doesn't have a job or is begging for money. It's really tough. Yeah. I've been broke. I know what it feels like.
Yeah.
So I don't dismiss that. But at the same time, if you are at any level calling yourself or position yourself as an expert, leader, I hate the word guru, whatever you're saying yourself, you better damn well step up and help those people flatten the curve. I don't mean medically. I mean,
I get it. Yeah.
Right. So if you don't step up and lead, saying, here's what I'm doing, here's how I can help you right now. Then you're not a leader.
Yeah.
Right. Leadership is stepping up in times of crisis and doing something. Do you know what Calvin Coolidge is famous for?
What's that?
Nothing. Because he was president during the Roaring 20s. Everything was fine. Roosevelt, Depression, World War II, leadership, right?
Yeah.
But nobody remembers people who weren't a leader in a time of crisis. Right. This is an actual opportunity if you call yourself an expert, consultant, coach, whatever it is.
Right.
But you've got to work twice as hard to help out your clientele and your customers and the people who are, their curves are high. They're uncertain. They have fear. They have weakness. All right. So you better step up and say, how can I help you? What's going on right now? I mean, I've got so many ideas for people. Like this one, the restaurant coach I talked to, I'm like, well, takeout food now. Well, that's an easy one. What else? I said, what about starting your own behind the scenes online show and go behind the kitchen and start doing cooking classes? Give it away for free. Just engage your audience. So they remember you when the doors open again.
Exactly, Doug. Exactly. Yeah.
Is that enough of a rant?
Hey, man, you can have the soapbox as long as you want if that's what you're talking about. Seriously. It's so important to understand that. And it's so important to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about Uber productivity.
Yes.
I'm eager to get into your head about that as well. Is that too broad of a lead in, or can we just jump in from here?
I wish I was an expert at it, number one. So I always call myself a perpetual student.
Sure.
Because I'm always learning and I'm observing myself as much as I can. I got 2 whiteboards, my Stephen Covey list with my A1, B1, all those things on the side here.
Well, then you and me can be friends.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
But I do know one thing, that as an agency owner, I get people calling me and I'm working on their books before my own. I've got 5 in the hopper sitting in my hard drive for years. But I know being productive means being disciplined. Mm-hmm. And one thing I know, talking to like my client, Donald Burns, he's like, man, I block out time to do everything.
Yeah.
I block out time for writing, for going to the toilet, for having sex with my wife, whatever it is. I'm going to make sure I block this time out. It's like Sheldon Cooper. It's scheduled, man. But because of that, he's disciplined and he gets a ton of stuff done. Yeah. I schedule my writing time, but occasionally when customer calls in for something, then I'm like, well, I better slide my time over. I'm last. Yeah. So that's not really uber productive, but it's just, I'm a service provider. So it's what I do. Sure. But blocking, I mean, the biggest lesson I've learned recently is prioritizing my tasks, doing the big rocks first. You've heard this before.
Sure. Of course.
So I do that pretty well. Yeah. And then budgeting time for yourself. Mm-hmm. I used to budget, half an hour for, health and fitness. Now it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because I need that energy and that meditation time, which I also suck at, but I try every day. And, self-care is critical because you can't be productive if you're weak.
Right.
You gotta be strong physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
Yeah.
So you got to dedicate serious time for all those things. Mm-hmm. And I do it beginning of the day, mostly, and a little bit at the end. But budget, basically, it's just a scheduling appointment with yourself is the one thing for that Uber productivity is schedule time for things that you need, but you've been putting off.
So then do you have any insights on the part where you look at your schedule and you go, I really don't feel like doing that?
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
I feel so weird as an entrepreneur, right? I used to I don't take days off. And about a year ago, I'm like, I'm feeling a little ragged, there's extra wrinkles here. I don't know. Yeah. So I started taking one day off a weekend. Mm-hmm. Now I'm like, man, I think I'm going to take Saturdays off and start working. Right away, I'm sort of wiped out. So I took Saturdays off. Now I'm like, I'm done at 3:00 on Friday. So Friday, and I work half a day on Sunday now versus I get a whole weekend now. So I sort of feel like an employee looking forward to the weekend. Thank goodness it's Friday. I'm like, I hate that mentality. But I'm not a fan of a guy whose initials are GV.
Yeah.
Who wants to just grind it out, just work it out, just work hard.
Yeah.
No, I get the message. Okay, work hard. All right.
Right. So you're saying
Anything else?
Yeah. Right. I know that for me, when it comes to productivity, I'm not sure how productive I actually am. People look at me from the outside and say, wow, right? But good Lord, man, especially if I hold myself up to the measuring stick of GV, or at least what I think his measuring stick would be, I'm just like, oh, I suck. I absolutely suck. And then some of my heroes, like Elon Musk, works 100 hours a week on a slow week, and I'm just like, do I reconcile myself that I'll never have Tesla and SpaceX, or
yeah, okay, but I had one VA for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have a staff of 12.
There you go.
So we have I don't know how many. I don't even know how many books. Yeah. I think I got about 20 book projects in play right now.
So every time you lift one lever, 12 levers are being lifted.
Well, I have one project manager who is worth her weight in gold. She runs the ship now.
Yeah.
So in terms of productivity, my biggest advice, and when I first hired my second person, I almost couldn't afford them. By the time I got to my third or fourth person, it was tight budget wise. By the time I got to number 6 figures.
This is important. What we're onto here is important.
Push the envelope on your leverage.
Yeah. My first, so I'm gonna line up right beside you on this one. I've only got a couple of people on my team. They're both aces. They're effing superstars. And this is after having a series of, in the very beginning, I was like, well, let's collaborate. Let's team up. I was sort of lucky because, frankly, because I show up on camera well. And so people thought I was much more successful than I was right from Jump Street, right? And people just
everything, right?
Yeah, totally. People would ascribe success to me. And so I had sort of like students of marketing, students of funnel building. I was going to say fledgling, but let's be polite and say students come out of the woodwork and say, hey, I'd like to team up with you.
Yeah.
Those things never worked in the beginning. And then I had a series of 3 or 4, starting with really crappy to VAs, and assistants. Now I finally got one who is, man, she's a grand slam at the bottom of the 9th with the bases loaded.
Nice.
Plain and simple. And so maybe that's part of why people think I'm so prolific, it's because she's prolific. But this is so important. I hired my first assistant. I think it was like, I've got $800 a month. Can you work for that? And they were like, yes. Right. And so I started looking a little more prolific. Right. And then they weren't working out. And then I went with an agency from the Philippines. Yeah. But for me, the voice of my voice is very important, and they couldn't quite get it because of the sort of the translation from the way that Filipino people structure English to English. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Yeah.
Little things like in my copy that they wrote for me, they'd put the word actually in too many times. So I felt like I was at a call center, that kind of thing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Actually. So I had to, evolve out of that. But I would say that we've stumbled across what I would consider maybe the most important nugget for people watching or listening to this interview. Hire for assistants and VAs before you think you're ready.
And know what you really need, capabilities, and don't have one person try to do everything.
Yeah,
we spent, oh my gosh, I'll have to check with my project manager about this, but we spent a solid 3 to 4 months outlining our SOPs on everyone's task.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that early on, you will waste money. It'll be a bad situation. So getting things dialed in like a real company early is going to make you real company money much quicker. I mean, I struggled for years with one guy.
Yeah.
Right. As soon as I started ramping up and pushed my envelope on what I was comfortable money wise, it all sort of tipped over to like, whoa, we can do a lot more now. And the biggest thing, Manny, was that my brain space freed up.
Because that is the biggest thing, Doug. Absolutely.
Guy.
Yeah.
I was like procrastinating on things I shouldn't have. Whereas Rika's like, boom, boom. She's ahead of the game. Yeah. Like, you run it with a girl. Just keep going. Yeah. I'm going to go get some more clients and service them. And you take all the back end operations and get it done. She's 1,000 times better than me.
Yeah.
And yeah, getting good people on your team and sometimes having them write their own SOPs up is really helpful, because you'll find out things they're doing that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
They should be doing or maybe shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And no disrespect, but when the person writes up their own training manual, someday they're going to leave, and the training manual you get to somebody else. So it'll save you time later on.
So a couple of things here inspired by what you just said. First of all, if you don't know what SOPs are out there in listener land, it's not quite time for you to hire someone.
Oh no, I had to learn that too. Standard operating procedures.
Standard operating procedures. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so important, right? One of the big things for me over the last year and a half is I'm just kicking myself mentally in the ass going, think like a CEO, think like a CEO, think like a CEO. Every time a decision comes up, dude, think like a CEO, man, Exactly. And that means who, not what, or not how.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Who, not how. For people listening, maybe this is something you're not familiar with. At a certain point in the beginning, you do have to hustle, and you got to learn how to sell, and you got to learn how to market. And what your gift to the world is 10 to 20% of your daily time. Yeah. 80 to 90% is marketing and selling that gift.
Right. Right.
But then as soon as possible, when it still feels a little scary, you should be looking for someone to start taking things over, taking things off your plate. What you said that was so profound to me was it freed up your brain.
Yeah.
Bandwidth is way more precious than hours in the day.
Think about that. I mean, we can always make more money, but we can't make more time ever.
Right.
And our life experience and the value I bring to my clients on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
Man, I'm sorry. It is $500 an hour, and the minute you start selling your coaching by the hour or doing stop that.
Yeah.
You're worth more than that, because I'm to ramp up where I am right now, you will spend 20 years.
Yeah.
All right, you will. It's just I have, media background and ABC, CBS and done 229 number one bestsellers. And I was on the internet when it first started. I had a search engine that was bigger than Google when we first came out. Right? Believe it or not, I've done a lot of things online, offline, and that experience it's valuable to my clients. I don't always see it. I'm like, what did you say about me? Oh, Doug, thank you. That's a genius. I'm like, I'm not a genius. This is just standard stuff. Good for you, but not for me. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I didn't come into this call knowing that we'd wind up here, and this is what I love about doing these like this.
But we have to celebrate 420 today also.
And maybe we already have.
No, I can't. No, I get another call after this.
No, I haven't for the last 25 years.
It's not legal in South Carolina anyway. So.
Oh, are you in South Carolina?
Yeah, Charleston. Yeah.
Wow, they're really moving slow out there. It's like, hey guys, this is the rest of the U.S. calling.
Well, but there's some things there that aren't so good either. So we can have a political debate about the legislation and business environments.
Yeah. But let's stick to what we're rocking out on here. Sure. So the piece about protecting your bandwidth, if you want to build something bigger than a one-man, one-woman shop, I think is just so important, right? And we hear it said a lot of different ways. Like, if you're $100 an hour person, why are you doing $10 an hour tasks and things like that? What I want to just, encourage people to really think about is the bandwidth, because a lot of times it isn't even the hours in our day. Mm-hmm. It's what can we hold on to?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things for me has been maybe one or two big sort of visionary level ideas at a time.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I want to live. But it took a long time to understand that. Mm-hmm. A long time of hustling and grinding and nickel and dime activities and all that stuff. So So I just love that you brought us there, man.
And here's one more thing about that, because I remember hearing Laurel Langmeyer talk about this years ago. And I hire someone to clean my house, cook my food, do all these things.
Yeah.
And she's a machine, so she probably is working 18 hours a day. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I treat it differently. I said, listen, I have this wonderful team doing all my back-end operations for me. I'm in charge of 2 or 3 specific things. That doesn't mean I'm working 18 hours a day, because that's not healthy for me.
Right.
So I get a good, I don't know, I don't track it really, 6, 8, sometimes 10 hours in. Mm-hmm. But if I can budget a nap in, I'll put a nap in there in the afternoon for 40 minutes or so. What the heck?
Absolutely.
It's good for your health.
Yeah.
So so uber productive means being smart with your time, treating it like the absolute valuable piece of gold that it is.
Yeah. And
leveraging as much as you can, and organizing it in such a way that if you don't know the rocks in a bucket jar, just go look it up. It's a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
Or Brian Tracy's other book I love, Eat That Frog, which I've read at least 2 or 3 times. But that's a really good parable to listen. Do the hardest thing first. The hardest thing for me a year ago was getting up early and working out. Now I look forward to it. And a few times where I'm not feeling it, I'm like, just give 20 minutes. The endorphins will kick in and you'll feel great in about 20 minutes. Yeah. So entrepreneurs that aren't focusing on their health are not effective. They're not as effective as they could be. Well, you're paying into an account that is going to shit on you later. Yes, it works both ways. Yeah, that's really what it is. Is you're deliberately, deliberate is questionable, but you're putting energy into something that's only going to come back and kick you. Yeah. So lately, productivity summary. There we go. Is focus on your health. You got to have good energy. Yeah. And schedule your own time for personal things, and then leverage early and often. There you go. There it is. There it is. See how simple that is. I'm a writer. I try to organize thoughts of my left brain. People like, here we go. What are the 3 things I can do, Doug? Write them down here. That's good, man. That's good. What, if anything, have we not covered that you'd like people to know, man? Oh man, there's a lot. Fake influence. It bugs the crap out of me, man. Tell me more. If any of my people on my community, friends, fans, clients ever post anything that says I am a thought leader, I will call you out as the dark knight that you are, a Sith Lord, because you don't control my damn thoughts. Okay. Right. Leaders create other leaders. That's the one leadership skill that I try to embody. And when my team has a problem, I say, figure it out and lead. That's my message. They hear that all the time and anything like that. I don't know. You figure it out, lead. Because they're, like I said, the Philippine culture is like they want to just do what the boss says. I'm like, that's fine. But sometimes take a stab at something. Yeah. My first guy, he was so shy to make a mistake. He disappeared on me after like 3 weeks. Yep. Just gone. I'm like, what happened to him? What's going on? About 3 months later, he popped up in line again. I'm like, hey, what happened, man? Oh, I was so embarrassed that I couldn't do this one task you wanted, so I just left. It's like, I didn't know what to do. If you got a problem, ask me. Yeah. So I took the time to learn his culture and learned that saving face was more valuable than telling the truth. Yeah. In fact. And I said, I will learn your culture. You need to learn mine. Yeah. I told him about being honest and making mistakes and encouraging rapid mistakes, because that's how we learn. Just get through them as fast as we can, and then don't do it again. Right. Yeah. I get from that tangent. But leadership, fake influencers or thought leaders, God, I just want to strangle them. Here's the bottom line is there's a difference between arrogance and confidence, in my opinion. Yeah. Arrogance is telling the world how great you are. And confidence is having the world tell you how great you are. Yeah. Perfect. So when you have other people, endorsing you, talking about you, edifying you, you're a leader. Okay. But if you got to say, here's my book launch today. Oh, look at me. I'm in the newspaper today. Look at me. I made a magazine today. Right. Like, why don't you go? I'm sorry. I'm going to use the word mental masturbation again. I hope it's okay, but it's like, perfectly okay. Stop it. Just stop it. So when my authors go to say, okay, we're going to work on your book, but don't forget, we're going to spend an equal or a greater amount of time on your positioning, branding, and marketing. Yeah. And that means having other people talk about you. On launch day, go right ahead. Announce your launch. After that, we're going to put you in the news. We're going to put you in Reuters News, a bunch of local digital ABC, CBS stations. We're going to get you on some podcasts. We're going to get you in a local paper, do a book launch at your own bookstore. A lot of online, offline things to get other people talking about you.
Yeah.
And when you've got that dialed in on a consistent basis, and you've got a message to convey that solves a problem, then you're going to win. But if all you have is yourself and your Facebook friends and just stop it. Build a network.
I was just talking to Dennis Yu on Saturday, who I consider maybe one of the best and most benevolent marketers out there today, and he was saying the exact same thing. He was saying the exact same thing. It's infinitely more powerful to have other people speak your praises because it looks less disingenuous.
Why else would Colonial Penn hire Wilford Brimley to talk about insurance?
Right. Yeah. Celebrity
branding's been around forever.
It's
no different. It's the same. Celebrity branding, social proof, endorsements. It's all the same thing. Get other people to talk about you, and the higher status they are, the better it is for you. That's why I focus a lot on PR.
Yeah.
When I had a real estate company years ago where we trained people how to be real estate investors, and we were going to trade shows and spending like 10, 12 grand a month on marketing. And I was making okay money, but I was kind of like, this is a lot of money to spend on marketing.
Yeah.
So every January 1st or January 2nd, we have a team meeting about the gung-ho stuff for the coming year. I said, okay, guys, I'm so sick of this outbound marketing, cold calling people for investing in real estate courses. Can we just switch it all to inbound marketing? I'll give you 12 months. Whatever you got to do, marketing team, you guys make it so people are calling us. Within 6 months, we had 100% outbound marketing to 100% inbound marketing. Never again do we have to cold call or do another flyer, anything. People came to us all through PR and media.
Right. Yeah.
It feels weird at first because it's not easy to track, but I'll give you one quick story on it if you want to hear it. We have time.
Oh, absolutely. No, I smiled because this is something that I'm very focused on lately. So please. Yeah.
So I had a real estate training company. I had 20 years as an investor, so I knew what I was doing, lease options, short sales, everything. And I said, okay, I had a radio show. I got a radio show on ABC radio in Chicago, and I hired a PR firm to help me build that because a radio show on its own is not going to work. You got to have to promote it.
Right.
So I hired a PR firm, David Brim, Chicago, great guy. And he wasn't the most expensive PR firm, but he's a good guy. And it was not, most PR firms are on 10,000 a month or somewhere in that range, right? 10 to 20, depending on where you are. David was my, deal at $5,000. Yeah. We were a small company, only like 6 people at the company. So $5,000 was a lot to spend on PR. So $5,000, here you go. Make me famous. First month, nothing. Another $5,000. Make me famous. Nothing. Third month, David, come on, get going. About a week into third month, I got a call from the Seattle Times. Now, we were a local real estate training company who had an actual physical location. We trained investors in Chicago. Like, David, I got a call from the Seattle Times. I can't even serve them. He says, just do the interview. It's good practice for you. Great. The interview lasted no less than, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's a really short interview.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, real estate. Yeah, it's great. Invest in real estate. I gave him some nuggets of wisdom.
Sure.
And this article came out in the newspaper. It's still newspaper time, right? Newspaper and online for about the real estate industry. And I was quoted like in the second paragraph or so. Mm-hmm. Seattle Times gets syndicated, folks. Syndication is powerful. Yeah. It went to Yahoo Finance and a bunch of other places. And I didn't have any contact information in this article, just my name.
Yeah.
And people took the time to look me up based on my one paragraph and call me. So I had spent $15,000 with David on my PR. Mm-hmm. And out of that one article, I had 6 phone calls and 5 clients at $6,500 each. So made a little over $30,000 on that one campaign. I also got a regular column in the Business Ledger. And I got one TV spot on CBS in Chicago. And David said, I got you on TV. Oh, really? When? Well, Doug, just understand it's going to be It's gonna be the slowest news day of the whole year. Like, I don't care. Get me on TV. January 1st, 7 a.m. Now, they don't keep these archives, but I got the clip somewhere where I was talking about real estate and like, well, this real estate glut, this dip is only in Florida and Vegas. It's not going to affect Chicago at all. So thankfully, it was the slowest news day of the year because I was so wrong.
Yeah.
But, you got me on TV for, 3 minutes, whatever it was.
Well, I like what you said about how it's hard to track.
It's easier now, but it was harder.
It's easier now, but my point is that there's people are leaving so much gold right at their feet because they're obsessed with direct metric trackable, super granular ROI.
Yeah, that's good, but
it's good, but it ain't the whole picture.
No. And
this is what I find. This is what I've been thinking about a lot lately.
So can I give you, okay, hold that thought. I want to give the audience something that they can do without spending $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a free way to get in the news if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say you're an author or you want to be an author and you want to get some marketing. You want to be in the news. You want to get PR, right? Do you know that there are still companies in this country that print newspapers? Local ones, like your local community newspaper, right?
Right.
And if you would go to your local book, there's still local bookstores, privately owned bookstores. Yeah, there are.
A few.
Actually, it's a growing segment. Actually.
Oh, wow, fantastic!
Yeah, that's weird news. So if you have a book and you go walk into your local bookshop, not Barnes & Noble, but the local one, say, hey, I'm a local author. I live in the neighborhood. I'd like to do a book signing here. What do you think? I'll promote the book signing. I'll bring more customers in your store. I'll be here for a couple hours, sign books. Nobody buys one book if they go into a store. They're always going to buy more than one, so I'll help make you more money. Yeah. They always say yes. Always. So you get a book signing in your little community, no matter how big your store is, right? New York City, go, small. But Midwest or anywhere where you're in a local town, you'll get in. Then go to your local, small, little newspaper. Hi, I'm a local author doing a book signing at this store. Perhaps you'd like to cover it.
Yeah.
It's local business, doing good. It's a book signing. Bring your reporter, your TV camera, your radio, whatever you want. Mm-hmm. They don't always say yes, but if you do a good job with your press kit, which I encourage you to create electronic press kit, you'll get local media attention. Now you've got some credentials. You've done a book signing. You've been in the newspaper. You might even be on their digital platform, on their website, all just by walking in and asking. Do not send an email. Ever. Walk into the bookstore, walk into the newspaper place. There's an editor there. Trust me, it's like there's 12 people at the company. It's small. You can do that. Then you might want to call them later, but the email goes to spam. Mm-hmm. But here's the magic. If you're a fan of Ryan Holiday, which I highly recommend his book, Trust Me, I'm Lying, or that last one I just ordered. The media is so easy to manipulate. It's crazy. No disrespect to my journalist friends, but once you get in the local paper, if you've got something controversial or interesting to say, you can take that press release and send it to the next level, like a regional or a state, something larger.
Yep.
And they don't always pick it up, but occasionally they do. And it cascades. It's like a flywheel. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. But if you don't think about taking over the world, take over your community. Right. You can do that on your own for free today. And just take that little nugget of credibility and leverage it and just keep leveraging it. Right. And then if you get tired of that, you don't have time, then you hire a PR firm or someone to do it for you.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. And again, I think it ties into the potent value of indirect ROI. Yeah. I've taught many people how to think about themselves more as a personal brand and less as a service provider. Right. Mm-hmm. And so what does that mean? Well, it means you think about how you promote differently and you think about your end game differently. One of the simple things I teach people, I'll just give some value away too, so as not to be completely eclipsed by your insight and generosity. Take your content and cut it up into 1-minute pieces, your video content, boost it from your page. You can boost it for $1 a day, do a 7-day default. So now you're spending $7 over a week for each new piece of content. Yeah. And if you select pay for views in the ads manager, you're going to wind up spending about $300 a month for this, because you don't spend the whole $7 a day every day,
right?
Or $7 a week every week, done daily. And what happens is, by the end of the first month, you'll have about 40,000 people who've never seen you before see you.
Wow, nice.
By the end of the second month, it's more like 100,000. By 90 days, it can be the best we've seen is 250,000 people in 90 days.
Amazing.
That you can then track because you did it from your page.
Hello.
You can send them new content. Yeah. Don't make offers. Don't make any offers whatsoever. Just be there, showing your value, your expertise, and your personality. Before I call that's my tier 1 sort of digital personal branding. First level. Before I even incorporated level 2, my income almost quintupled. Yeah. It almost quintupled in 1 year just from the awareness. Wow. You're going to find people coming to you who you never heard of before, ready to work with you. It's insane.
This is just from a boosted post?
This is just from Boosted Post Daily. You're on my page now. Yeah. This is being shared to my profile. It's being shared to YouTube. It's being shared to my group. And then my assistant, who's a rock star, is going to put, I don't know, I don't even know anymore, like $10 to $20 to boost this. And within a few days, you're going to have a couple thousand views.
Wow. Yeah. That's DougCrowe.com, just in case.
That's right. But the thing is that prior to this strategy, which all credit to Dennis Yu, by the way, World, and Mark Lack, my mentors, I was obsessively focused on ROI. Yeah. What action creates what exact return on investment? Sure. Yeah. This is when everybody zigs, you zag. That's what this is, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I've got 2 clients, 3 now, but 2 in particular who are on a clear COVID-19 notwithstanding, on a clear trajectory for their first $1 million years because of this personal branding stuff. Love it. So it's this indirect ROI thing. I'm fascinated by it.
It definitely works if you work it and understand that, if you want to be big, you got to play like the big boys, and that's it takes money, but it takes thought. And in terms of one more thing, I add the personal brand, you wrap it up if you want, but it's not enough to give content. There's a difference between content creator and an influencer. Yeah. And I am a firm believer you got to not just stand for something, but you better stand against something too. Yeah. So if you don't have a nemesis, you're just a happy-go-lucky happy guy and nobody really cares. So you want to have a good stance for something and against. Unfortunately, it's a little negative, but it's just where we're wired. So you can't change human nature. There's
some truth to that. And for a lot of people, that's a whole sort of masterclass in itself, because a lot of people don't want to be the Donald Trump of sort of,
you can stand against, sex trafficking. Okay. It's easy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Standing up against fake gurus, or if I stand up against traditional publishers, that's close, but it'd be better if I could make it even narrower. Right. I mean, I was at a Blackhawks game, like in Chicago, right? We have the White Sox and the Cubs. And I got friends who are more Cub haters than White Sox lovers. They love to hate the other team. Yeah. Right. So it's not a personal attack on a human being, which would be wrong. Yeah. But you can definitely be against an idea, a brand, right, or even a position. Right. Yeah. That's okay. I wrote an article on why you want to piss off some of your customers. It really can help you out. So keep that in mind.
So that is a perfect way to think about getting around the sort of the inherent uncomfortability, because a lot of us think we have to really kind of assassinate someone's character.
No, don't do that.
It's not that, is it?
No, it's an idea, a brand, or position. I think that's the best way to do it.
I think that's
attacking a person is cheap.
It's ugly.
It makes you look like a jerk, and it makes you look like you're a small thinker, right? Yeah, it's much better to raise a question about, and like Jordan Peterson's brilliant at this, raising questions about ideas and thoughts. Oh, that's high level stuff, right? Yeah. So that's way to go.
So that's well done, man. Once again, just at the very end, right before the buzzer, another nugget. Wow. Doug, I want to thank you, man. I knew this was going to be a good call. I didn't know how or why. But I just, you and I had chatted a couple times previous to this, and I could tell you had a spark you know, for lack of a better way to put it, there was a spark. And usually when I hear that, I go, okay, this is going to be a good one.
Oh, thanks.
So I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your insight.
My pleasure.
And your generosity with not holding anything back, but sort of a behind the scenes peek on what you do for a living.
Right. Yeah.
So thank you, my friend.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. We are out.